Hello everyone, this is Dan again. I wanted to answer a fairly simple question in this video, and that question is, what makes the most sense as a default policy for a man to have in his everyday interactions with women once he becomes aware of the overall dynamics, the overall kind of situation between men and women today in society? So, when it comes to any sort of interaction that could really have some sort of meaningful or substantial result, any sort of actual meaningful impact on your life, what is the overall kind of position to have as a man that makes the most sense? So society today is very one-sided in favor of women, and of course I've covered this in a lot of other videos, and this is basic kind of what you would call red pill knowledge. When it comes to relationships or friendships or just general interactions between men and women almost always have an advantage today. Women are told that they don't need to bring anything to the table. They don't need to really offer anything in a friendship, or if they're interested in dating you, you're just supposed to pursue them. You're supposed to do the work as the man. You're supposed to prove to them that you're worth being in their life, but they don't really have to do the same to you. And men, like I say, are expected to meet all of the traditional standards of doing the work to get to know someone and asking the woman out and all of these kinds of things. But they're also expected to meet these new standards that have come through with feminism that often are contradicting some of the old standards. So you see this with Me Too versus the expectation that men need to make a move in terms of starting a relationship or asking a woman out on a date. So you have all of these different expectations for men. They have to meet all these standards that, like I say, can get to a point where they actually contradict one another. But women are not supposed to bring anything to the table. They're just supposed to be valued for who they are. And you as a man are supposed to basically be the one that makes yourself vulnerable. So the result of all this, if we're being honest, is that in any sort of interactions with women that have any sort of meaning, that have any sort of particular result, men rarely experience any sort of positive outcome. Men are almost always expected to bring more to the table while getting less in return. And again, it's not to say that there can't be positive interactions with women, and I'll get to this in just a second, but the overall dynamic and the way that the average woman sees men, there's really nothing positive that can happen there if you're being honest about it and looking at it as a man. At best, you're not going to basically have much to talk about, and it's not going to be much of an interaction to begin with. But at worst, she's going to get mad at you. She could make a scene. It could get as bad as her making a false accusation against you. And what is it that you get in return? What is it that she's expected by society to do for you? Nothing, because you're the one that has the expectations in most cases as the man. So the default policy governing these situations is to basically assume that a woman has nothing to offer unless she shows evidence otherwise. That unless there's something that she shows that is a reason for you to actually take her seriously or to want her to be your friend or to consider dating her if you're still looking to date, if that's what you want to do, if she doesn't show any evidence that she's kind of different or better than the average woman, then there's no reason to give her any attention. There's no reason to take her seriously. The default policy is to assume that unless she shows you otherwise, that she's not bringing anything to the table. Because honestly, this is typically how it is today between men and women, especially men and women of my generation, but really just in general. Women are told that they don't need to bring anything to the table, and then they still expect men to do what men have always done. So, in other words, the burden of proof has to be on the woman. If she wants to actually engage you in something as a man, the burden of proof has to be on her to show that she's worth engaging with. Otherwise, you can assume that nothing positive is really being offered. And again, what this really boils down to is you have to focus as a man on things that can have a positive impact on your life, that can help you meet your goals. And if you want to be in a relationship or date a woman, and a woman shows that she has common interests or she shows that she has qualities or abilities that you're looking for, then, you can consider that on your own terms. But the vast majority of women are not going to show you this. The vast majority of women just expect men to pursue them. They just expect to be valued basically because they exist. But then they treat men as utilities, or they see men as utilities. They think that men have these obligations to them. And there's no way to form a healthy relationship or connection on that basis. So again, in most cases, the average woman does not really offer anything positive to you as the average guy. And there's really just no reason to give her any particular attention or to take her seriously, even if she shows you that she wants you to pursue her or that she likes you. So what? If there's nothing positive to be had there, and there's really nothing that she brings to the table, and you can't really see yourself engaging her in any particular way because you can see that she's emotional, or you see that she has other traits that don't really lend themselves, again, to positive outcomes, then you move on and you let these women think whatever they want to think. You protect yourself from an accusation or something like that if you're at work. And if you're at work, you don't really want to consider dating women or anything like that in that context, in that environment anyway. But the woman has the burden of proof now, I think, to show that she actually has something to offer. Because in the vast majority of cases, women don't offer a whole lot to men today in their interactions with one another. And men are honestly better off finding things that are more worthwhile and more in line with achieving their goals. And it doesn't really matter what society expects of you or what the particular woman expects of you. If she doesn't bring anything positive to the table and you're not going to have a positive interaction with her for that reason, just don't waste your time on her and move on to things that are more important and that can give your life more meaning. And unless you find a woman that actually shows that she does bring something to the table, I really don't see a reason to waste your time on the average interactions between men and women today. So again, the default policy is that unless she shows that she actually brings something to the table, unless she shows that she actually has something positive to offer, there's really no reason to take her seriously or to invest time and energy into giving her attention. You just move on to the things that actually can have a positive impact on whatever you're doing.